Hi guys, we're back. Today we are reading chapter 13 and chapter 14. So thank you for joining us, and here we go. So it turns out that the mansion on O Street was more than a mansion. The mansion was more like a museum. I hope you had a chance yesterday to navigate. I left you a site, a website for you to visit this mansion and see all of the amazing things. So let's keep reading and find out. That's what I love about this book. It's a fictional book. The characters aren't real, but the places are real. So it's kind of like it crosses genres. It's a realistic um, fiction, mystery, treasure, adventure, lots of things going on in this book. But it's been rich because it's allowing us to learn more about an American adventure, places that maybe someday we could visit. So until then, let's learn about it through the kids, KIDDS. The mansion was more like a museum, a series of 5 interconnected townhouses. It had more than 100 rooms, including a 2-story log cabin. The ceilings were hand painted in all sorts of styles. There were stained glass windows everywhere, an Art Deco penthouse with a private elevator, plus all sorts of memorabilia, including guitars autographed by rock stars like the Rolling Stones. This mansion is steeped with history. There's a picture. Give you a minute to look at that. Okay. This mansion is steeped with history, said Uncle Richie. Nearly every president since my favorite, Teddy Roosevelt, had visited. J. Edgar Hoover's G-men lived here at one point, and the mother of the civil rights movement, Rosa Parks. Well, she called the mansion her home whenever she visited D.C. The mansion is an excellent place to sharpen one's treasure hunting skills. I love treasure hunting. There are 70 secret doors and many hidden passages. The mansion is a maze. However, there is no map. You must find your way through the zany labyrinth using nothing but cunning, wit, and guile. Uncle Richie quickly arranged for us to take a self-guided tour, even though we were last-minute drop-ins. The manager is an old friend of mine, he told us. Let's just say he owes me a favor, and we'll leave it at that, shall we? We started roaming around, going through secret doors that led to other rooms, staircases, and closets. Wouldn't that be cool to go there? One door was a bookcase filled with knickknacks that led us into the house next door. Another was a pantry that slid sideways, a bunch of a bunch of mirrors. We found about 8 doors each, way above average. But then again, we were professional treasure hunters. When we were exhausted from exploring all the nooks and crannies and Beatles memorabilia and chandeliers and the Rosa Parks room and everything, we headed down to the restaurant where they let us eat waffles and bacon for a late afternoon snack. Here are the kids. Just think that would be so cool. It seems Uncle Richie knew the restaurant manager also. Was that a bit more to your liking? He asked with a sly grin as he speared a wedge of waffle. Totally, said Tommy, wolfing down 6 pieces of bacon because he, like all of us, was starving after running around the mansion, not to mention up and down all its staircases for a couple hours. But, said Beck, As fun as it was, Uncle Richie nodded. I know, Rebecca. I know. There's nothing like the thrill of an actual adventure. To be out in the field, chasing down clues, finding true treasure that most consider lost of the ages. Why, I remember when I discovered the mummy of Kittentowman. Whoa, said Tommy. You discovered a mummy? Indeed. And his whole tomb filled with riches, gold vessels, jewels, precious objects, all of which, of course, I donated to the nearest museum. Was that the dig you took Mom on when she was a kid? Yep. Is she the one who made you donate all of the treasures to the locals? Yep. And she was only 7 years old. Your mother looked at me with those big blue eyes, and well, how could I refuse her anything? Besides, it was the honorable thing to do. Uncle Richie. Yes, Bickford. You're supposed to call me Bick, remember? Ah, yes, my bad. And I'm back. Right, you are, Rebecca. What was your question, Bick? Were you really about to set off on another expedition? A treasure hunt? Uncle Richie rubbed his hands together. Indeed so. For certain information has recently fallen into my possession. Information that could very well lead me to... And he paused dramatically. In my head, I could hear the duh, duh, duh. The lost ship of the desert. There's a treasure ship, I said. We're now in chapter 14. Lost in the desert? Well, duh, said Tommy. If it's a boat, it's in the desert, then it's totally lost, little bro. There were several legends about maritime vessels stranded in the deserts of the American Southwest, said Storm. But how'd they get there? Asked Beck. Bad boat divers, said Tommy, who was excellent at skippering his ship, the Lost. Uncle Richie got a twinkle in his eye and leaned across the table to recite a memorized verse. A mountaineer, storm-stained and brown, from farthest desert touched the town, and striding along held up above his head a jeweled cup. Whoa, said Tommy. Pirate poetry, my fave. Uncle Richie kept going. He whispered wild and said with lifted hand, doubloons are sown along the sand. Seriously, said Beck. Some wheezy old sun-baked geezer stumbled into town and started rhyming at people about doubloons lying in the sand. Uncle Richie gave her a mysterious, mischievous grin. So it is written in Joaquin Miller's 1875 book, The Ship in the Desert. But what I'm searching for is the lost pearl of the Spanish explorer, Juan de Iturbide. It was a shallow crafted caravel, making it the size of Christopher Columbus' smaller ships, added Storm. Exactly. You see, Senor Juan Iturbide was on a pearl harvesting expedition up the Gulf of California. That's between the Baja Peninsula and the mainland Mexico, said Storm. She and Uncle Richie were quite a team. Precisely, said Uncle Richie. And King Tide, which of course is very high, coupled with a storm surge, carried his ship across a strait and propelled that vessel more than 100 miles northward, far into what is now California, near present-day San Diego. The pearl hunting ship was soon deposited in a distant saltwater basin, a lake in the process of drying up. Eventually, the dead lake would create part of what we know now as the Salton Sea Basin at the northern edge of the Sonora Desert. Tommy nodded. That all happened in the desert. You know, lakes will dry up on you. After exploring the lake for several days, Uncle Richie continued, Señor de Iturbe came to the unfortunate but undeniable conclusion that he would not be able to sail out again. His ship's keel was stuck on a sandbar. So, with no good options, he abandoned his craft. Standing upright, it looked as if it were still sailing across the wind-swept ocean of the sand. And his entire crew hiked back across the desert to the nearest Spanish settlement, leaving behind a fortune of precious black pearls. There's the ship. There's the desert. And nobody's ever discovered the ship? I asked. Nobody, said Uncle Richie. So you want to go to the desert and find Señor de Iturbe's ship? Indeed, Beck, I do. For I suspect its hull will be heavy with treasure chests, all of them laden with priceless black pearls. But, said Beck, all you have to work with is a legend. True, however, sometimes a legend is all you need. So we're going to stop right there with our book. And Mrs. Sines is going to try something a little different. I am going to dig in here and I'm going to share this screen with you. And we're going to explore a little bit more. So this site right here, I'm going to leave you this link, shows you the lost pearl ship of Juan de Iturbe. And this shows the map of where it traveled. And you can read a little bit more about it, which is really pretty interesting. And up here in the top, this is a different ship, but as you can see, I watched this video. It shows a ship replica, which means a model or one that's similar. And it looks pretty similar. I don't know if you can look back at my little screen and see this right here looks pretty similar to the image on that little YouTube video, which is kind of neat. And then I'm going to stop that. This is kind of a cool video from Nat Geo Wild on the formation of pearls.
Few places on Earth remain as untouched as Australia's northwest. This coastline is one of the last pristine places remaining on our planet. Between Broome and Darwin, the coast is as wild today as it was when Europeans settled the continent over 200 years ago.
So I'm going to stop this right here. This is a video, and I will put this link in there as well. I'm going to come forward it a little bit. It goes on to talk about the scientific understanding of how pearls are formed, and just kind of a neat little extension connected to our book. And if you remember, these pearls that they're searching for are the priceless black pearls. So it might be kind of an interesting little search for you to do to find out the difference between a black pearl and a regular pearl. So let me see if I can figure out how to stop sharing. Now we're back to the book. So thank you for joining us today. And again, I will attach those links if you are interested in digging a little bit deeper, my little treasure hunters. Talk to you all later. See you tomorrow for chapters 15 and 16. Bye-bye.